What's up, YouTube? We're here to make a tier list of the flex spots for the current YuGiOh meta. Post-Centurion, YCS Bologna is coming up. I know a lot of you guys are excited. 4 players from my locals topped YCS Virginia. A guy from my other locals won the whole thing. I just want to make it plain and clear, the best flex spots for this meta right now. If you want to take a look down here, we've got 45 cards, 45 of the best flex spots, and we're going to be ranking them. We'll make it easy for you. Let's just run through the Doppel Tier first. So the cards that probably aren't that worth it right now. We've got Mind Control, Twin Twisters, Forbidden Chalice, Dark Hole, Raigeki. So these would be only in a specific deck or specific meta where you need the utility of these effects. Like, for example, Forbidden Chalice, if your deck loses to Dweller, you would start considering this after Droplet, Imperm, cards like that. These cards, they're similar cards that do the same thing. So this will be the bottom of this tier. And then there's a few hand traps in the Doppel Tier. Gamma, Bell, Skullmeister. This can go in Dragonlink because it's a combo piece, but it's limited, so not worth the break. These two go in against certain matchups. Unchained if it fits your deck, and then this beats Labyrinth, but doesn't have enough coverage right now. Now for a couple cards, a lot of people are playing these. D-Beer and Anti-Spell. Anti-Spell's a little bit better because Thrust and Talents are so strong. I don't really think playing traps, inciting traps, is that good because going first, most decks should be able to win, but I'll give it to you. If it's an auto win, you know, it's worth considering. Then Herald of the Abyss. It's not a great card, but it does out a lot of things because it makes your opponent send. It's semi-searchable off of Thrust, so that's why I have it up here. And then Kaiju is like the upper tier. If you play Small World or you play searchable ways to these, they're pretty good. Standalone, not too great, more matchup dependent. So now on to more considerable cards in the 5Ds tier. Crossout Designator at the bottom. It's really not a great card because you don't want to be drawing the targets with it. So if you have to play this, you should be considering whether you should even be playing the deck if your deck auto loses. I get it, Vanadium needs to beat Droll with this, so that's one of the only decks I really put it in, but not that great. Lancea is an okay card. Matchup dependent. If Rescue Ace gets really strong, then it becomes good. So it's considerable. Mourner, secondary card to Veiler, and the Veiler effects are really strong. Ghost Ogre with Centurion coming back. This is pretty good. It does hit a lot of decks like Horus right now. So Ghost Ogre, you could see people splashing 1 or 2. Evenly Matched is a hot take that I have, that it's not a very good card. In this day and age, you want your battle phase. You want cards like Fenrir to go in on them and attack and dismantle their board. This is usually underwhelming, but sometimes against Unchained and Rescue Ace, if you can hit them at the right time, that's perfect. Then Spooky Dogwood. This is polarizing, right? This at one point was over here, but it's not really a very ethical card. It's more of a thing against crazy decks like Tier Lament or Vanadium. Could make your opponent mess up potentially by using it. This is like an all theory card. It just makes the match go forever. So now on to Sphere Mode. It's a good card. It might even be higher than this, but it's kind of just hard to put in a lot of decks. A lot of decks only end on 2 monsters, not 3, and most decks need the normal summon, but this, in the right deck, it's great. Change of Heart, faded first, of course. It's not as great as Tactics Talent. Mind Control was lower down, so, you know, this is something you would grab off of Thrust earlier. Cosmic Cyclone, this is becoming good against Centurion. It hits the field spell, which is really, really strong. Just Banishing is so good right now because a lot of spells and traps float. You hit it on the Runic card, so Cosmic, good. You can change to Anti-Spell. Called By, I think this is actually a good card. I think it's a card you do want going first in this meta. I think right now, every deck needs a lot of hand traps. Even decks that can't support a lot probably play 9 hand traps. So this hitting that Ash, Veiler, Droll is really strong. Kurikara, I think this is an underrated card. Against Pearly is such a difficult deck. A lot of decks play Barone. You can grind, tribute off their board, reborn the Barone. It's searchable by the Diabell engine, so I actually vouch for this card. It's very strong. And then a few more cards. Let's see if we can fit it in, because this is a really filled stacked here. Pankratops, 2600 attack is really strong right now. It's a one of, so won't go into it too much. Lightning Storm, it's all right, but it's not like the first card you want to search off of a Thrust, but against Unchained, for example, you can hit their attack position monsters. It's okay, more of a rogue killer. Dark Ruler No More, it's not the best right now. Honestly, like people like Crystal Blanc were maining it. I think it's a card, it's a good in the main, but once anti-spells come in, not really the greatest. And then we've got the top of B tier, my hot take. I think Prosperity is not the best card. You're losing your extra deck. You can't put in much damage because of the effect. And if your deck cannot draw cards, then it's not that great of a deck. So this can only really go in when you're playing a deck that doesn't draw. Remember, Joshua Schmidt played Pearly and he did not play that card. He played Dark World cards instead. So that should give you an indication. I don't think this card needs to get touched. A lot of people complain, but that's just my 2 cents. So now The main event, the A tier and above. These are cards you can expect to see all over the meta, all over YCS Bologna. Starting with the bottom of A tier, Lava Golem, really stud card right now. A lot of decks are putting up about 2 big boys. Hand Trap someone, then Lava Golem, that's really strong. Good in the right deck. Book of Moon is solid. Against Centurion, it's good. You can dodge their Calamity effect by proactively using this. It's just generically good, dodging effect targeting on your turn as well. Bystials, they are good. I think a lot of Bystial decks are strong right now. Bystial cards are good against Bystial decks, but it's not quite as diverse and good and flexible as a card like DD Crow. Has a lot of flexibility. You can hit the blue Shyama against Unchained. You can hit the spells against Perlate. You can hit a lot of stuff. So I think DD Crow is still strong. Nibiru, I just promoted this over DD Crow recently. It's just, if you play a lot of hand traps, that's when Nibiru thrives. By itself, not great. With negation cards, amazing. So it's up here. Shifter, I'm not excessively high on Shifter, but it does what it does. So you have to respect it, at least middle A tier. Then Enemy Controller, again, it's just one of those cards. I don't personally put it in my deck. So spoiler alert, Black Sleeves are not in my deck. The Ivory Sleeves are what I play in my deck. That's just specific to mine, but this is really strong against Rescue Ace, Unchained, things like that. So got to give it its due. Quick play. If you have an effect that you really need to push through and dodge a negation, dodge a targeting, tribute that. So this is a card that change the tempo. Harpy's Feather Duster, this is just a staple searching off thrust, so got to play it. Book of Eclipse becomes a lot stronger now. Centurion and the whole Calamity play dies to this. This is just such a strong, just a one card that can out your opponent's board. So could catch you off guard. I've seen good players maining this, so watch out for it. So then the last 3 cards of A tier, Thrust, Talents, and Droll in that order. Droll is a stud right now. Not much to say. There's just a couple decks like Unchained doesn't really hit. Talents is getting better because we're in a really big hand trap format. And then Thrust, I mean, it just searches so many good cards, but anti-spell is prevalent, so that's why I put it in this order. Now, finally, S tier, Percy tier. The lowest card is Forbidden Droplet. It's just one of those cards. It says you can't respond. It outs the whole board. And if you have graveyard effects, it's amazing. So I think it's up here definitely, but might be a side card. Effect Veiler. This has finally risen back up. It's just so strong, being able to negate normal summons. Against Rescue Ace, it puts in work. Against the new deck Centurion, Veilering at the right time can shut down their entire play. So it is up here, really strong. Super Poly. Not a card I played in my deck, but if you have the right targets like Mud Dragon, Draco, Equist, this card can get you extremely far and be a card like Droplet that it's just that one card you need a top deck to win the match. Fenrir, the 3rd best card. This is even kind of an engine card. It searches like for the Warrior Infernoble engine. It searches for the Manadium engine. In so many decks, just being a level 7, going 1st and 2nd, it's so strong because it forces cards. So that's why I have it slightly over Super Poly, because Super Poly going 1st is not that great, but that's why we have like that. And then the final 2 cards, Infinite Impermanence and Ash Blossom. It is indeed a hand trap format. Imperm is one of those cards you can play around the talents, play around the thrust, so it's great if you don't want to commit into the hand traps. It does everything you want. And then Ash Blossom, I don't care what people say, low impact. This is a custom card. Still a card that we need with no max C. We need strong hand traps like these to be able to let ourselves play Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2023 and actually go for turns. So that is my fastest 45 cards flex spots. If I missed anything, do let me know. Thanks to these guys for helping me. Jose, Chris, and Andrew and Kevin, those 2 topped. So you know this is legit. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.